Hello, everybody. Did that come through? Yes, it is. Sorry. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Calls episode of 2021 Palmetto Championship at Congaree Data Dive. I'm Nick, your host, and sorry for the delayed start to the stream. I usually begin at 8, but every Monday I'm in Golf League, and it ran over a little bit tonight. You can probably tell I got a little bit of sun, and for tonight, because I just got back, we're double fisting. But nevertheless, we're here. We're going to dig into some of the data for the Palmetto Championship at Congaree, and I have found some more information to talk about in addition from last night's stream, which, by the way, go check it out. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Support's always appreciated. It's been a very busy Monday for me, so I'm actually going to be getting a kind of a first look, hopefully with you all, at the DraftKings betting odds, the DraftKings pricing, and certainly the Fantasy National stats, which I should mention, all stats come from Fantasy National. It's an excellent resource. I highly recommend it. I use it for all of my betting and daily fantasy needs in the golf realm. Amazing tool. Go check it out. I can't say enough wonderful things about it. With that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into some more information I gathered with last night, just about the course and general details. So as we come over here, and let's see, that is not bringing up. Let's see. Why is that not coming up? One second, folks. I am sorry. This is not going how I thought it would. That's the one I want. There it is. Sorry about that. This is the Top 100 Golf Courses website. I essentially just searched in Google Congaree Golf Club and started to do a little bit more research and found this. And there's not a lot more information to be added, with the exception that this article here talked about green speeds, and particularly when I searched for speed, this last sentence here, or this last mention, due to the sculpting of the mounds and humps on the greens, the green speeds based on pin location and direction are something one must have a deft touch to ensure a good score. While the golf course is basically flat, it does not feel flat on many holes as the terrain has been beautifully shaped. So I mentioned last night that I had really no idea about undulation on greens, green speeds and whatnot. This appears to be fairly fast. It is Bermuda, so you're going to want to target, if you're targeting putting, you want to target people who are better on Bermuda than other surfaces. But the green speeds are generally pretty fast. And another interesting mention in this article is that a lot of the runoff areas that were talked about last night that I was kind of speculating, they are closely mown. They're not fairway cut. It's just closely mown area that will attract any wayward approach shots. So that's something else to keep in mind when you're looking at some statistics. You really want to make sure guys are dialed in with their approach shots, which is the kind of player I like to target anyway. But if you're going to miss, short game could be very useful around here. I mentioned that this looks like a wedge course, even though by first appearance it doesn't appear to be, because it's 76, almost 7,700 yards. But because of the length, there's at least one par 5 that's a true 3-shot par 5, and a lot of the there's 3 par 4s that are well over 500 yards, 520 and beyond. So if you're not going to reach the green in 2, then you have to be able to scramble. You have to be able to hit wedges close to save your pars. So I think wedge play is actually going to be very, very important, even though it's a long course. Pardon me while I fix the mouse here. But that's something that I found here looking at this site in particular with the top 100 golf courses. So it gives us a little bit more information or a little bit more detail as what we can expect starting Thursday. It's a Tom Fazio design. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's a 3,200 acre plot with a lot of natural sand. So there's not, I believe there are bunkers, but there is sandy waste areas, which I was kind of speculating by the satellite view. You'll notice here, thousands of pine trees were removed during the construction, and the corridors were sand capped to promote firm and fast playing conditions. Number of open expanses were also stripped back to fashion big sandy waste areas. So whether that counts as bunkers or not, I'm not entirely sure, but think of Kiowa Island. Those weren't really bunkers. Those were sand areas where players could ground their club. Maybe that's the same here. I'm not entirely sure. Large open fronted greens allow ground game to flourish. So this kind of seems like an American Link style. It makes sense. It's a long course, firm and fast. You can run the ball up there on your approach shots if you need to. So the short hitters, I don't think, are truly disadvantaged, as you might think by the distance on the scorecards. With closely mown runoff areas collecting wayward approach shots. No cart paths on Congaree. It's a walking course, which is just kind of interesting information to know. The course can be stretched to 7,685, so 7,685 yards. This says playing to a par 71. Everything I've seen is to a par 72. So I don't know if they're changing one of the par 5s to a par 4. Risk reward par 4s, testing par 5s. The par 4 8th is the signature hole. You have to navigate around two very vast sandy waste areas en route to a green, and then the finishing part of the course is 4 pretty long par 4s, and 18 it says a tough approach shot over water. So interesting course. I'm excited to see it. It's the debut for it in any professional level, to my knowledge. I know the LPGA hadn't been there. I know the PGA Tour Champions hasn't been there. I still haven't been able to confirm whether Korn Ferry hasn't or has or has not been there. Don't think it has. So it's going to be an interesting first look. That's for sure. But we're here to talk about data. So I'm going to exit out of that, and the first thing we're going to let's look at the data for the Palmetto Championship, and this is fantasynational.com that I've alluded to. I wish I could take credit for gathering these stats. I won't. This is an absolutely amazing tool. Go check it out. It is well worth the investment. And when you invest, you don't have to listen to an idiot like me. You can go make your own models and make your own assumptions and predictions for the tournament, and then tell me how stupid I am. Because if you listened to last week, you know that on outright bets, I just lost. I did pretty well on the daily fantasy side, but outright betting, not so much. But as I thought, there were, as I discussed last night, there were about 4 premier golfers that have decided to tee it up here at Congaree. Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Tyrrell Hatton, and Sungjae Im. And Sungjae, I still consider one of the top tier dogs. He has not been playing well, full disclosure. I mean, I'm very well aware of that. But I still consider him an elite talent. It's going to take me a little bit longer to jump off the Sungjae train. But he has not been playing well. But just going by strokes gained total, I have not done a custom model yet at all. Just going by total strokes gained in the past 36 rounds for all courses, Charlie Hoffman's actually the best in the field. And that shouldn't really be a surprise. He is ball striking the ever-living bejesus out of it. strokes gained approach number one. Colin Morikawa's not in the tournament, but I mean, Charlie Hoffman would put a run for him. He's not going to be as good as Colin, but number one in approach, very good off the tee. Short game is not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. His around the green has been suspect. Number one tee to green, number one ball striking, number one total. He's just playing amazingly well, but I believe he has withdrawn. I believe he has withdrawn, and I don't see his live betting odds here. I can do a quick search. Yeah, nothing. So I believe I had heard he had withdrawn. I hadn't been able to research and look at that. Fantasy National hasn't updated that yet, and they haven't updated the DK salary. I actually just got the DK salary right before going live. So with Charlie Hoffman out, your number one player is Brooks Koepka. Should be no surprise. I'm a little shocked that he's playing here, to be honest. I would figure, given the health issues and the major coming up, that he would have taken this week off. But perhaps he just wants to get some competitive rounds in, competitive scoring competition in. I don't know. I can't speak to it. Brandon Grace coming off the top three at the Memorial, top fourth, third in the field. Not playing the best off the tee, but everything else is pretty darn good. He's playing really well right now. He won, I believe, an alternate event earlier this year. Was it the Corrales? Oh, Puerto Rico. Yeah, so he won the Puerto Rico earlier this year, and it's a alternate field event. But I mean, a win's a win. You can't discredit that. And pardon me, because I have just got back from the golf league, I am going to really enjoy these Gatorades as I need it. But Brooks, Brandon Grace, Dustin Johnson, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Tyrrell Hatton, should be no surprise at who jumps to the top of the strokes gained. The first shocking name for me is Vincent Whaley. And Vincent Whaley is somebody who's kind of popped up here and there on the analytical radar. He was a very popular play, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks ago in DFS, being a very cheap play. Let's see if I can remember which one it was. Was it the Wells Fargo? It was either the Wells Fargo or Charles Schwab. Maybe it was the Charles Schwab. One of these past 3 tournaments, he was almost minimum price on DK, DFS, and I mean, if you're gonna, pay minimum and a guy basically top 25s, top 20s, you'll take that every single time. So he's kind of been popping up here lately, and you can kind of see why. He's been playing around. He did not play well around the green at the Charles Schwab. He didn't putt well at the Byron Nelson, but I mean, look at the tee to green numbers here. He is ball striking the ever living bejesus out of it lately. I mean, it's technically a negative. I call that even ball striking at Wells Fargo, but you'd have to go back to early April to find when he didn't hit his irons well, hit his approaches well. Been putting amazing, minus the Byron Nelson. Been great off the tee lately. So Vincent Whaley is a name that a lot of people don't really know, and he's someone to look at this week. And we talked about it at the top, Bermuda. It's his best putting surface by far. So Vincent Whaley is somebody to really target. And this being a Monday, we don't know what ownership projections are. I'll go into that more on Wednesday, but I imagine if we took a quick look at it, he is probably already fairly chalky. Yeah, I got to favorite some players. I haven't done that yet. We'll do that Wednesday, but my guess is he's already fairly chalky. Again, Siwoo Kim, Sung Jae, Harold Varner's been playing some good golf lately. Alex Noren used to be a very what's the word I'm looking for? He always played well in tough courses and tough fields. Now he's just tearing up these almost alternate field events, and this one feels almost like an alternate field event minus 5 or 6 guys. He's up there. Ian Poulter up there higher. Because this is a wedge type course, I kind of want to see what around the green players kind of pop up here. And Tommy Fleetwood, I mentioned him last night in the initial research. His game is elite over on the European Tour. His success just hasn't translated to the American courses yet. And this being an American link style, or seemingly an American link style, this might set up pretty well for him. He's someone I'm definitely going to look at pretty heavily this week. Certainly the approach and off the tee numbers scare me. But if these are wide fairways, and I don't know how wide or tough these fairways are to hit, they seem like they're firm, which means that could cause some issue. Maybe Tommy's someone to look at this week. Someone else. Ben On always pops for around the green play. He just can't do any fucking thing else right now. He's never been a good putter. That's always been his bugaboo. But he's not doing a damn thing else right now. So, if you want to believe in one stat and believe that'll carry him, go right ahead. I'm not going to advise it. Other names that might pop here for around the green: Brandon Grace, we talked about a little earlier. Vaughn Taylor played sneakily well at the Memorial. He wasn't talked about much last week. I believe he had a top 20. Yeah, he was a solo 18th at Jack's course this past week. Didn't strike it very well. Put the ever-living daylights out of it. And if you've listened to me for a little while now, you'll know that putting is such a fickle stat. I don't trust in putting very much at all. Certainly if someone displays a long form of putting, I'll be more inclined to believe it. But putting in itself is a pretty fickle stat. You can see here how volatile even Vaughn Taylor's been, even though he's been good. Last week he gained 6 strokes. Week before he gains 2.5, which is really good. He still misses the cut. He loses 2.5. He gains almost 10. He solo 6th or ties for 6th at the Valspar. He gains 10 strokes putting. All of his strokes gained for the tournament basically came in putting. I just personally believe that's not a recipe for success. Look at the Texas Open here. Get my ugly mug out of the way. He gains almost 9 strokes putting, loses 7 strokes tee to green. He comes in 44th, and it looks like he didn't have a bad week. Well, he had an atrocious week. He just made every putt ever living God to man. This is just an example of why I don't believe in putting, relying on putting. Certainly, it's a key statistic to look at, but I don't rely on it. However, having said that, Bermuda looks like his best putting surface. So hey, Vaughn Taylor might be a bit live. I'm going to stay away from it. But he's someone up there that played very well at Jack's course, good around the green, has been putting well lately. Someone to look at. Ian Poulter's up there. Camilo Villegas, Siwoo Kim, who's pretty good all across the board. I like Siwoo Kim. I like him a lot more than I probably should. But, you can't argue with the numbers. He's just solid across the board. He's very, very good in some statistics. Again, get my ugly mug out of the way. Siwoo Kim, just solid across the board. So searching just by around the green, and I'll make a custom model here, my first run through, and I'll definitely continue to tweak it through the week. Like I said, today's been pretty busy, so I haven't even had a chance to make a custom model. Which, hey, by the way, comment below. What do you think should be in the custom model? I'm going to look at wedge distances for sure. I'll probably put a little emphasis on fairways. Certainly around the green. Some emphasis on around the green. But comment below. Tell me what you think should be in the data model, or what you're going to use in the data model. I'd be interested to hear it, especially since this is a new course, not a lot of history of information. It'll be interesting to see what opinions are out there for the course. Sorry, I got an itch. So yeah, just let me know what you're thinking. I'm certainly gonna put a little bit around the green. I'll probably put like 5% putting or so. If you've listened to me or watched me now for since the start, you know that I'm going to value stroke gain approach. That's just what I believe in the most as a statistic. The reason being, if you're dialed in with your approaches, you can kind of make up for some poor putting. The thought being you're hitting it so close that you don't leave yourself many challenging putts. And if your approaches are good, that generally means your driving is okay. And then even if your driving is not okay, you're able to save yourself. So I'm definitely going to look at probably some greens in regulation, certainly stroke gain approach, fairways around the green, wedge distances. That's kind of where I'm looking at, and I might try to throw a loose model here at the end of the episode to see what kind of spits out. But just taking a quick look at this, and I'll sort by strokes gained total. This will give you an idea of roughly what the betting board should look like. And when we go look at DraftKings, the official sporting book or sports book, you'll see that I was right last night. My prediction was that you would get two golfers under 10-1. Brooks and DJ, they're the two headliners in this field. I was going to be shocked if either of them got to 10-1. I could maybe see the argument for one being 10-1. Well, it turns out I was right. As of now, and maybe this changed earlier today, I don't know. This is kind of the first look I've had at it. DJ's at 7.5-1. No surprise, number one player in the world, deserves to be the favorite. Brooks Koepka, 9-1, deserves to be there. He's playing well right now, given health. I'll never pick against Brooks, I'll tell you that. The health is just the thing that scares you away from Brooks. Then you got Tyrrell Hatton at 11, Fitzpatrick at 12, Sungjae at 16. It's kind of shocking. I thought Sungjae might be a little bit lower, but it seems like my analysis was somewhat correct. There's two under 10. I thought Hatton and Sungjae would push to the 15 area range. Hatton's actually down to 11, which kind of shocks me. But I mean, he's top 10 in the world. Maybe it shouldn't. I'm surprised by Fitzpatrick. I mean, he's got good form right now. There's no doubt about that. Fitzpatrick kind of surprises me to be that low, but being a Euro, this seemingly like a link style course, I see the correlation. I certainly do. Sungjae at 16, Tommy Fleetwood at 25 is kind of interesting. I might put one or two bets up this week. I'm going to save a lot of my attention with my money to the U.S. Open next week, but certainly if something jumps out at me, I won't be afraid to pull the trigger. Tommy Fleetwood at 25-1 is a little interesting. Norn at 25-1, he's playing okay. This is certainly in a field type he has taken advantage of in the recent past. Look at some of these alternate field events he's been in. I mean, he was 13th last week at Jack's place. Let's see. It was OHL miscut. So he was actually not at the Puerto Rico or the Corrales, which was kind of shocking. I thought he was there, but I guess not. But generally, he's been playing these alternate field events fairly well. Someone to kind of keep an eye on. 25-1's a little short, I think, for me. But Just going down the list here, you've got. Sorry, I'm making sure that my screen and what you all see are lining up here. Glover at 33, Harris English at 28. He hadn't been playing well. Varner at 33. He's been playing very well. I think 33 is a little short. I don't think I'll get onto Varner. Somebody a lot of people probably won't know unless you are in the analytics community or in the golf community is Garrick Higgo. Garrick Higgo, I mentioned him last night in the initial research. He is on an absolute heater on the European Tour. He is, I believe he has won and twice second, or won twice and came in second in another on the European Tour in the past month to month and a half. He is playing some unbelievable golf right now. There he is. This is probably only going to search for PGA. Yeah. So, I mean, he made the cut at the PGA Championship, which is, it's not nothing. It only has stats for Bermuda, so can't really take a lot from this, but I do know, having a little bit of knowledge on the European Tour, he is tearing it up over there. Now coming back stateside, he came back stateside before the PGA, played in something, I thought. And then now he's playing in the Palmetto before the U.S. Open. So someone to look out for at 45 to 1. I'm not sure I'd pull the trigger, but I certainly wouldn't blame you if you did. I think it's a fair price. I'd probably want to get a little bit more than 45. But certainly there. Certainly there for the taking. And then, I mean, there's just not a lot. I figured that so last night I kind of went two different ways with two heavy hitters at the top in DJ and Brooks and Hatton, in Fleetwood, all that stuff. I thought it would be a very, very top heavy betting board. And because of that, I thought the long shots would either really get really long, or that they would kind of fill in this 60 to 80 range with guys that are just, in my opinion, way too short priced. Way too short priced. Like Luke List, fine player, can't putt, worth a shit. I can't say never, but Luke List is somebody I will be very hesitant to put in my lineups. Strokes gained 31 total. 120 short game, which is around the green and putting, and 123rd in putting. I mean, sorry, you probably didn't see that. Yeah, 31st here total, 120th short game, which is again around the green and putting, 123rd in putting. The closer to the hole, the worse he is. And I'm not going to put at, what is he? Where was he? Luke List 66 to 1. No thanks. Sorry. Just not going to get there. To me, I would avoid or fade this entire 50 to 100 range, or 50 to 90. I could maybe see a Russell Knox. He's been playing fairly well. Let's see where's Russell Knox? I probably passed him, but Russell Knox, 51st total, short game and putting, so he's another like Luke List. I don't know. I mean, List is supposedly better, and that's why he's 66 to 1, and Knox is even shorter at 55, so maybe, I don't know. Knox just seems to... The thing about Luke List, he's liable to have an incredibly high finish, a top 5, or he'll just flat out miss the cut and just play atrocious. That's seemingly what I remember from him. Yeah, miscut, barely made the cut at Byron Nelson, 6th, 17th, sandwiched around, miscuts and 58s and 63rds. So he's boom or bust. Is the putter cooperating? He gets a 6th. Putter cooperates, a 17th, the top 20. Everything else, all the red, miscuts, 61st, 58th. Like, no thanks. That's just not the kind of player profile I value. I'm more inclined to put in a DFS lineup than I am outright betting. That's for sure. So me personally, I would fade this entire range of 50 to 90. Doc Redman is a good young player. Still don't really have a lot of interest. Let's see, where's Doc? The Doc will not see you now because he's not been playing well. He was one of the kind of I could say chalky, a popular up-and-coming rising star at the beginning of this year. He just hasn't lived up to it. So the doctor is not in office right now. Terrible puns. Leave your terrible puns and jokes at the bottom in the comments section, and give it a like. 'Cause, everyone likes a bad joke. Dads will, at least. Now, when you hit this 100 range, there's some interesting names here. Jason Duffner is normally not a very good putter, clearly, but he's been playing okay. He's actually been playing okay recently. 18th in ball striking, 16th in approach, 24th tee to green, short game and putting and around the green, cover your eyes. But at 100 to 1, you could do a lot worse, I think. And understand all of these look bad because he's a terrible putter. Bad putter is a bad putter is a bad putter. But Bermuda is his best surface, so that is something. But I just can't get there. But if you want to take a shot at somebody, the ball striking has been pretty good for Jason Duffner. I can understand the reasoning behind it. I won't do it, but there's certainly reason to think about 100 to 1 Jason Duffner. Somebody I really like, and he hasn't panned out this year the way I thought he would, is Matthew Neesmith. And he's at 100 to 1. And Matthew Neesmith is somebody that ball strikes, and this is why I like him so much. He ball strikes the ever-living hell out of it. I mean, he's very, very good on his approaches. So naturally, that's going to inflate the ball striking, the tee to green. Short game and putting, again, pretty disastrous. But he's not on POA, which is his worst surface. That's a plus. I don't know. If you get a tournament that the putter cooperates, he just doesn't hemorrhage and miss every 5-footer, there is some sneaky value here. Are you looking at a winner? Probably not. That's why he's 100 to 1. But once we I'll start looking at top 5s, top 10 bets as well. He's somebody I consider. I would consider in a top 10, top 20 given the odds. Somebody I think is on the verge to not necessarily breaking out, but to contending a lot more than what he's been doing lately. Sepp Straka, Vaughn Taylor, 101. We talked about him just a little bit ago. If you believe the putter in writing the hot form putter, 100 to 1. Vincent Whaley at 100 to 1. That is enticing. That's very enticing. Especially if you're going by just strokes gained total. He's the 7th best in this field. At 100 to 1, damn it, I've probably just talked myself into a bet. I wanted to save my money for the U.S. Open. Son of a bitch. Vincent Whaley's a very, very, I can't say it's a good bet. It's a value bet. There's no reason he should be 100 to 1 in this field. I mean, that's just straight value. It's a lot of the reason why I bet Patrick Reed last week at 33. He ended up coming in top 5, but Patrick Reed at 33 to 1 is kind of ludicrous. His future at the U.S. Open isn't even 33 to 1. So that was a lot of the reason why I bet Patrick Reed at 33 to 1 last week. Almost panned out. Again, I just don't see a lot down here. Like Kevin Chappell, I mean, is his health back? He used to be, one of the top players in the world. I mean, if his health's back, great. That could be a value. Patrick Rogers, everyone keeps waiting on his breakout. Hasn't happened yet. I still don't think it's going to happen. Shez at 200. Where's old Shez boy? Well, that's the reason why he's 201. Not playing well. Not good. And Bermuda's his worst surface by far. So we're starting off on an amazing note. Not to mention, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 straight missed cuts. And then a 49th, and then a miscut. He did play well at Pebble. And then miscut. Yeah, Reevy's just, wow. That's atrocious. And I mentioned him last night in the research show, or in the initial research show. Good job, Nick. So yeah, I mean, once you're getting down here, I mean, if you want to throw absolute darts, save your money for next week is what I'm going to suggest. But if you absolutely really want to put something out there, boy, I don't know. I'd have to get back to you on that. I would have to dig into it. None of these really jump out to me at all. Roger Sloan, where's he at? Thought I saw him somewhere around, venturing around here. Roger Sloan. There he is, 151. Okay. If you want to take a dart throw, Roger Sloan, 16th in strokes gained total for the field. Again, a lot of the same problems that we've talked about. Short game, around the green, putting. Yeah, not as disastrous as some we've looked at, like Jason Duffner and Luke List, but still not good. But he's striking it well. He's ball striking it well. This would be my recommendation if you want to take a dart throw. Absolute bomb. I would recommend Roger Sloan. I don't think I'm going to get there. That Vincent Whaley 100-1 is really screaming at me. That's damn it, Nick. You're not save your money for the U.S. Open, but 100-1 is 100-1. Ugh. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. That's my first initial look at outright win bets here. Just not a lot here. I mean, I can understand the Garrick Higo at 45. I can understand the Tommy Fleetwood at 25. 16 on Sung Jae's just too short. DJ 7.5, Brooks 9. I mean, if you want to do that, great. I'm never gonna fault you for backing a favorite or whatnot. I won't get there on those shorter prices. But let's look at some other kind of bets here. Tournament props, winning margin by 4 more, 1 stroke. I've never done any of those. Oh, that's interesting. Normally they have top 15s, top 20s, top 5s, top 10s, 20s. They don't have that yet. Maybe they're not doing it this week. It's interesting. Well, I'll give you my final bet, like outright betting card Wednesday night. More than likely, it's going to be Vincent Whaley. Now that I see that 100-1 number, where'd he go? Where is he? There he is, all the way down here, which you can't see. Vincent Whaley, 100-1. I'm pretty. Now that I've seen it, and I keep seeing it, and I can't take my eyes off of it, that's probably going to happen. I'll think about Roger Sloan at 150, but other than that, like Norlander's a guy that I like. I don't think he's going to win. Neesmith's a guy I like. I don't think he's going to win. I mean, speaking of, where is Norlander on this? Yeah, so I mean, Norlander's a guy I like. You can kind of see why. Ball strikes it well. His short game is just so bad that it brings down the rest of his game. I mean, just awful. If he could do anything around the green, I mean anything, like find the green, he would be an okay play. But so yeah, that's where I'm leaning right now on the outright betting. Spencer Whaley is 101, Roger Sloan 150, but other than that, like I don't see a lot of value in this, what I'll call the upper middle tier, the 50 to 90, 50 to 90 area. JT Poston is somebody in fantasy golf referred to as a popper. He really doesn't have rhyme or reason for when he shows up and wins a tournament, but he is, miscuts, 26th, then he'll come in a third. He won at Wyndham a couple years ago. Like he'll come out of nowhere. So like miscut, this is last year granted, but miscut and 10th and 8th, then followed by 3 miscuts. Sorry, didn't see that. So granted this is last year, but he misses the cut at the API, and then takes a lot of time off. 10th at the Charles Schwab, 8th at the Heritage. All right, he's in good form. Miscut. He's just, there's no rhyme or reason. So he's referred to as a popper. Those kind of people are always dangerous, and I will always lose to those because if you can figure out a popper, yeah, great. All the power to you. Andrew Landry's another one like that. He'll pop. Just find everything at a tournament and win. A good thing for Poston. Bermuda's clearly his best surface, so maybe I stumbled onto something. Maybe I didn't. What do you think? Let me know. But I'm going to stop there on the outright betting. I brought up the DraftKings thing just to grab the prices since Fantasy National didn't have them. I'm going to bring up this spreadsheet here real quick. So I just grabbed this straight from DraftKings and the pricing, and I'm going to be looking at this literally the first time right now with you all. No surprise, 2 guys above the 11,000, DJ 11.4, Brooks 11,100. My guess is, and before I leave or sign off for the night, I'll go ahead and make a custom model and see what the ownership projections are early. But I mean, it should be I would think most people are going to target put one of these 2 in their lineups. I doubt that they would try to fit both. Maybe some people try to because this field is so top heavy. But I would think that one of these 2 is in probably 75% of lineups. That would be my guess. Fitzpatrick at 10.4 and Hatton at 10.2. Interesting. You know what? This will be. Yeah. I'm going to switch back to the Fantasy National here. Let's make just a quick custom stat model, and we're going to add a new one. That's what I ended up using for Muirfield Village. So and this is just the great thing about Fantasy National. You can save. I mean, you'll see I had Colonial, I had Kiawah Island, Muirfield, TBC Craig Ranch. Now we are at Congaree. And I mean, there are so many stats to choose from. That's why I highly recommend FantasyNational.com. Any stats you can break down, splice down to the most minute level of detail. Well worth the investment. Go there. I can't say enough great things about it. With that, of course, I'm always going to value stroke gain approach. And I'm going to set that at a tentative 25%. I just value it highly. I think around the green is going to be pretty important here. Like I said, wedges. I want to see who's good with their wedges. Not necessarily sand saves, just around the green. The closely mown areas that were talked about, the true 3-shot par 5s, the long par 4s. If you're not, hitting the green regulation, you're going to have to be good with your wedges. I want to see who's good with their wedges. I might even up that a little bit. I do want to see a little bit of putting. Who's putting it somewhat decently. Let's see. DK points, just for those, it's DraftKings points, how many points that they average in a typical DraftKings contest or tournament. So if you're really deep into the DFS, like I am, I don't use this statistic, but it's nice to see what guys average. And it's just another reason why to use Fantasy National. I am going to look at fairways gained. I think fairways are going to play a pretty integral part. You've got waste areas all around. You've got some water on 2 or 3 holes that come into play. I think you're going to have to really find the fairways. I'm going to look at scrambling. Again, with the kind of like the around the green thing, I want to see who can scramble, who's the best at it. Save some pars. Let's see. I had a sheet here. It's over here off the camera. A lot of times I will try to narrow down a particular range. Say if 3 of the 4 par 3s are in a certain range, I'll use that statistic. Or if the majority of the par 4s, like last week at Muirfield, I believe 6 or 7 of the 10 par 4s fell in this 450 to 500 range. So I definitely valued that statistic, since that was the most prominent par 4 range at Muirfield Village. But it looks like Congaree is fairly well balanced. Very, very well balanced. So I'm really going to look hard at these proximities with wedges. Actually, you know what? I'm probably going to do all 3. And again, this could be wrong, but I really think this is going to be a wedge type course. I think this is where my initial lean is what I'll say. And obviously I'm going to tweak this through the week, update it for you on Wednesday when I do the DFS Tactics show. The last thing I'm going to do, let's do a proximity of 200 plus, because there are quite a few longer holes on this course. And some forced layups. That's another reason why I'm adding the 75 to 100. There's a lot of forced layups. If you want to take a look at that, I covered hole by hole last night in the initial research show, so make sure to tune into that. But I think this is, as a first pass, let's see what this throws out. I want to see who the good wedge players with solid approaches, finding fairways. Doesn't need necessarily distance, but finding some fairways. It spits out, oh, look, Dustin Johnson. Well, now this is over. Dustin Johnson's going to win the tournament. No. Should be no surprise. Oh, quit it. DJ number 1, Doug Gim is another analytical darling. The numbers, I don't know why it does this. It keeps rearranging itself, which is really, really weird. I'm not even clicking anything. Doug Gim is a analytical darling. You can see he's pretty good across all statistics except for putting. He cannot make a putt, and that's what's held him back from really vaulting into big name status. Certainly contending more often than he does. Siwoo Kim. I mean, this is another reason why I like Siwoo Kim. He's just a good all-around golfer. A lot of people don't realize, since he's been on tour for so long, He's only 24 or 25 years old. He is young. He's been on tour for 6 or 7 years. I mean, he's still young. He's a very good Korean golfer. Charlie Hoffman withdrew. Hank Lebioda is somebody who's been playing well under the radar lately. Top 15 at the Valspar, made the cut at Wells Fargo. 17, another top 20 at the Byron Nelson. Very, under the radar. The last 3 tournaments, Lebioda's been playing very, very well. Before that it was really ugly. So maybe he's found something, or maybe it was a 3 tournament stretch, and then he goes back, or reverts back to looking at his previous year, tournaments over the past year, 12, 14 months. I mean, he's a streaky player. He'll get hot and then cold and hot, hot and cold, hot. So if you believe that the form will continue, Lebioda wouldn't be a bad play, but I'm not so sure I'll get there. Again, if you believe the putting's in good form right now, or going to stay in good form, Vaughn Taylor. There's Brooks, Duffner, Terrell Hatton, Varner, Grace, Snedeker, guys that are popping. Let's see who the top wedge players at the distances are. David Lipsky. Interesting. That hopefully didn't drop viewership in half already. Roger Sloan, this is somebody that I was mentioning just a little bit ago, very good with his wedges. And he's very good on approach shots too. So, at 150 to 1, I think you could find worse bets. There's Duffner in the really short wedges. Chez Reavie, really short wedges. So once you get Reavie farther away from the hole, it's really bad. But 100 to 125, there's that. 75 to 100, you've got Lipsky again. Chase Seifert is somebody who kind of pops up from time to time. Lucas Glover, Brent Snedeker. Boy, I'm just not thrilled with a lot of these. Kyle Stanley was the real chalky pick last week, and it turned out to be a very good chalky pick. Full disclosure, I think I mentioned Wednesday night that was chalk I wasn't willing to eat. I ended up eating it just because it was 6,100. I mean, he was 100 more than minimum. Putting him in your lineups gave you so much room to do what you wanted at the top, whether you wanted to try to fit a ROM, which, obviously ended up not working out in your favor, but, whether you wanted to do like a DeChambeau and Hovland, or, do a 3 thing of like Hovland and Finau and Scheffler, or, or Xander, Cantlay. I did a few lineups starting Cantlay, Xander. I was very, very, very happy with that. And then, there were quite a few values to be had in the 7,000s range. Emiliano Grillo was the big chalk, which I used, and he imploded. He was not good. But I did use Kevin Strowman. He played pretty well, so I was pretty happy with that. But that's beyond the point. So Kyle Stanley's very good from that range. He's pretty good with his wedges, not great, but pretty good with his wedges, and can be okay from long distance as well. So somebody to look at there. Brooks, obviously, always good. He's not good with wedges from close, which is interesting, and he's not good with the fairways either. That's actually something I kind of want to look at. Fairways. There we go. Brian Stewart. That's a name you probably don't know because he is not a long hitter. Ryan Ormer, Bryce Garnett, Kramer Hickok. Sunjay's actually been hitting fairways. He's been scrambling well. He's been putting well. Again, it's his irons. His approaches are atrocious right now. He gets these shorter clubs in his hands. He's just not converting. But historically he's not been that bad. And Bermuda is his best surface. Last week at the Memorial, he wasn't terrible approach, but he just couldn't putt. At the Charles Schwab was just a disaster. Just call it what it is. But he top 20s at the PGA, led the field in strokes gained approach. Tee to green was probably one of the best. I mean, he's just. There's a term that goes around, and I'm absolutely pirating this from another content creator, which, again, I'm glad that you tune in. I'm very appreciative. I want to be a source of research, of information for you, but by all means, I should not be your only source. Go find. There is great content out there. Go get other opinions. Go get other research to put when you want to put your money on the line. Get as much information as you can. But I'm absolutely gonna pirate this term from another content creator. You're playing whack-a-mole with Sungjae right now. 1 week, it seems like his tee to green's fine, and then it falls off. And another week, like his approaches will be okay, and then he falls off. If he puts a tournament together where he doesn't even need all 4 of these to click, just do 3. Like at the PGA, I mean, he was solid across the board. And he comes tied for 17th. Like, you'll take that if you're putting him in your lineup, because generally he's going to be birdieing. He's going to bogey too, but he'll be birdieing, and birdies are worth more positive than bogeys are negative. Birdies are worth 1 full point in DraftKings lineups typically, and then bogeys are negative a half a point. So even if you birdie a hole and then bogey a hole, you're still up a half a point. So, I mean, the Masters was a disaster, but 8th at Honda, and he couldn't hit an iron to save his life that week. He was still 8th at the Honda. And the week before that at the Players, he still wasn't great with his approaches, but then his short game left him, and he was still a top 20. Like, he had a very good run here in February and March, where he was, maybe not necessarily threatening to win, but, he was on the leaderboard. And something's happening. He's playing a little whack-a-mole. Like, I don't know. Sungjae is somebody that I will believe in until there is absolute reason not to. I'm talking like full Ricky Fowler fall off reason to get off Sungjae. He's too talented of a player, in my opinion, that you give up on him. With which all this leads to, again, pardon me as I transition to the Excel focused view here. Sungjae at 9,700, like that might be fairly contrarian. Again, like I said, I think most people are going to go DJ and Brooks. At least one of, my guess is 75% of lineups are going to have at least one of DJ and Brooks. So, I mean, if you want to pivot off that, if you want to gain some leverage, I mean, Sungjae, Harris English at 9,900. Wow. That is, I don't imagine a lot of people, I mean, I don't know, Harris English at 9,900. To me, I would much rather go Tommy Fleetwood at 95 just because of the link style, the seemingly link style course this is. But I think as a final thing for tonight for the data dive, let's go to my rank. We'll do a little bit of some ownership projections here. I'm gonna star some players that I kind of want to think about using. Terrell Hatton, sure. And again, this is, there's no, Fantasy National hasn't updated the pricing yet. But let's let's just throw in some guys here. Brandon Grace is in good form. I'm always going to be a sucker for Neesmith because he ball strikes it. Let's see. Let's see what Higo does. Where's my guy? I'll be interested in Reevy. Maybe find something for 4 days. There's Tommy. I'm a little attached to EVR because I have him in a fantasy league, so I just kind of want him to do well. Let's see. Sung Jae, I'm always gonna star. Where Vincent Whaley is way down on my list here. My goodness. Vincent Whaley. Did I pass him? There's Sep. JT Poston. Been on. I know it'd be quicker to go to the top and search, but now I'm just having fun looking at the bottom of my rankings because I'm a masochist. There he is, right above Sanjay. Interesting. So the stats that I value, he hasn't been terrible in some of them, but some of them he's been really bad at. His wedges haven't been very good. That's interesting to know. He's not great at hitting fairways. I'll start him anyway. Why not? So let's see what the early ownership projections look like here. So because it's very early in the week, not enough lineups have been created yet for to check the actual subscribers to Fantasy National. But like I said, Brooks Koepka, 47%. So they're estimating that he'll be in 20%, almost 20% of lineups. Terrell Hatton in 20% of lineups. DJ is actually again early on a Monday or Monday evening, but early for the week standards. He's actually under 10%. That's surprising to me. That is certainly surprising to me. Looks like the chalky plays right now: Terrell Hatton, Brooks Koepka, Fitzpatrick, Vincent Whaley, Glover, Poulter, Noren makes some sense. Leviota, Harris English. People are really liking Harris English at 9,900. That's interesting. Siwoo is a favorite of a lot of analytical people, so that doesn't surprise me. Fleetwood, interesting. Sanjay. Well, I'm going to go back and look what is the hype around Harris English? I don't have him ranked very high. He's good in putting. What's he done lately? This is why we call it a data dive. Figuring out things with you. So Bermuda is a good surface. I looked at the weather a little bit last night. It looked fairly benign. He's normally good in windy as fuck conditions, as they call it. Let's see. He made the cut at the PGA, top 15 at the Byron Nelson, made the cut at the Wells Fargo, 21st at the Masters. So he's in decent form, certainly. This is why I don't ever find him high in my rankings, because he's generally, there was a time where he was a very good ball striker. This time last year, a very good ball striker. He can be a very good ball striker, and if Harris English beats me this week, he's going to beat me this week. I'm not on Harris English. His around the green's pretty good. I guess I can kind of see it. I guess I don't really know. I'm not on Harris English, so if you're on Harris English, you've got a lot of leverage over me. At least that's what I'll say. Let's just. I'm gonna take off my custom stat model. Just look at purely strokes gained for the last 36 rounds, and see where Harris English pops up here. Harris English. Yeah, see, I don't know. One, I don't understand why. He's 46th in total. I mean, his short game and his putting's okay, but at 9,900, that just seems a little. I don't want to say ridiculous. It's just someone I would. That's a pivot I'm not going to make, and it looks like he's not a pivot. I mean, he seems like he's somewhat chalky at 13.3%. So, again, this is very early. These will change, but I'm at a first look. I mean, I would be willing to eat Siwoo Kim slight chalk at 13.3. Sung Jae I like at 10.4. I understand he's inconsistent right now, but if he finds it, I like Tommy Fleetwood this week, 10.4. I mean, if DJ's only 10% owned, as opposed to Brooks's 18.5, I don't think I would be able to get away from DJ at 10%. I think that number is going to go up. I just think that's going to go up. But Higo and EVR, I mean, again, I don't really think EVR is suited for this course. That's just some selfish, please play well so my season-long fantasy team does well. Garrick Higo's interesting, though. I like Garrick Higo. Could be good this week. So let's close it up by taking one more look at this and see here. English 99, Sunday 97, 95, Poulter at 92, Higgles at 9,000. That's kind of steep. I certainly don't mind it. It's a little steep. Let's look at the bottom down here. Let's see if we see any names that we've talked about that could maybe garner some attention here. Chris Baker showed up on a couple of wedge charts, but someone I'm not really all that interested in. Nope. Let's see. I wonder where Roger Sloan is. I haven't hit anybody yet. I'm already up to 6,700. So looks like we might be playing another balanced lineup this week. Yeah, I just don't see a lot here. Roger Sloan, 7,000. Okay. He didn't seem all that chalky. I'm gonna go. Let's see. Yeah. See, that's the problem. I apologize. When I switch from Excel to web page, it's just some of the settings get thrown off. So bear with me with that. Roger Sloan. Yeah, 16th in overall strokes gained. Where was he in my model? Now I'm rambling a little bit, but this is data diving. I love it, and I'll certainly update the my model Wednesday night. We'll look into some course length type stuff. We'll go green firmness. It sounds like it's going to be firm. We'll get into the Bermuda, all that stuff. But in my rankings, where is Roger Sloan? That's not good. He's not in the top 33, I don't think. Roger Sloan. Oh, he is. 21st. I'm just blind. 21st. Yeah. So Roger Sloan. That's somebody I'm certainly going to target at 7,000. Ownership projections. Where's my man Roger Sloan? 7.4. Yeah. So I hope he stays that way because that's where I'm going to gain a lot of leverage on the field. I'm kind of targeting Roger Sloan. Now that I'm saying it so much, 150 to 1. Now it seems like I've talked myself into 2 damn bets. But anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for tonight's episode of the Palmetto Data Dive. Feel free to comment. Again, smash that like, subscribe to the channel. All the support's appreciated. Wednesday, we'll be here for the DFS Tactics Show. I'll update the model. We'll look at a final wind projection for Congaree Golf Club. and we'll see where ownership projections lie as it materializes through the week, and we'll go from there. So until next time, may all your bets be profitable.